All right, welcome everyone to Meet Up and Eat Up. I wanted to get started with just a couple of notes that you can use the chat box at any time today if you have questions. We're pretty casual here, and you're welcome to pop in a question if we don't get to it during the presentation itself. I will make sure that we circle around back to your question. We are recording this session today, and we'll be sharing it out with anyone who isn't able to attend or if you have to leave early. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Sarah Harmon with our summer food program.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone for letting me attend your webinar today. I appreciate you taking the time to listen about the Summer Food Service Program at the Michigan Department of Education. So the Summer Food Service Program, it's also known as Meet Up and Eat Up in the state of Michigan. We branded that a few years ago, so you might hear those terms interchangeably, or if you're talking to someone about the Summer Food Service Program, they might have not heard of that, but they've heard of the Meet Up and Eat Up, and it's basically the same program. So what it is it started as a pilot program in 1968 through the USDA and was full in as a child nutrition program in 1975. And it's administered by the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, and it's run at the state agency level by the Michigan Department of Education in the Office of Health and Nutrition Services. So basically, the program is a congregate feeding program, meaning that children that attend the program must eat together on site and they receive a free meal. It's intended to help low-income children in low-income areas, but any child 18 years and younger is allowed to attend the program or is free to come and receive a meal. The program operates when school is not in session, meaning that schools are on summer break and you can participate in the summer food service program at a site. It's not going to run during the school year because children will receive meals through the National School Lunch Program or possibly the Child and Adult Care Food Program, also known as CACFP. We are going to move to showing you just a brief overview video, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Schools can provide free breakfast, lunch, and a snack to eligible students, but during the summer, low-income families spend on average an additional $300 per month on groceries. Sometimes it isn't enough. Children who miss out on proper nutrition in the summer are more likely to experience learning loss and develop long-term health consequences. The Summer Food Service Program, also known as Meet Up and Eat Up, is about serving kids across the community free breakfast, lunch, snack, and even supper all summer long. Any child 18 and under, or any adult with special needs under age 26, is welcome to meet up and eat up with their friends at participating community sites. Through a sponsor, the folks that asked you to watch this training today, any safe, positive place for children can become a Meet Up and Eat Up destination. The rest of the videos in this series will cover everything you need to be your neighborhood's very own school cafeteria. As a Meet Up and Eat Up summer food site, you'll be receiving deliveries, managing inventory, and serving meals. Don't worry, you'll be a pro before you know it. We're here to help.
This is Kathy. I hope everybody was able to hear that video okay. And we're getting started as I share our screen with Sarah again here. just a second as I bring up our PowerPoint. But I asked Sarah to be here because I'm really hoping that public libraries can be those partners with the summer food service program. So Sarah's going to talk a little bit more about how to be a partner and what being a partner is like. So I'll hand it back over.
Thank you, Kathy. So I hope you all could hear that as well. We also have many other training videos on our website, which I'll share with you in just a little bit, so that you can see kind of what the program entails, but also depending on what your interests are, what maybe some responsibilities of your organization might have in the summer food service program. So this is just showing you a look at our participation in the state over the last 6 years. What's really interesting to me is that in fiscal year 2012, we had about, I think it was 700-ish sites in the state of Michigan during the summertime. Last year in fiscal year 2017, we had 1,849 sites in the state. So we have been doing a lot of outreach. We are asking sponsors to take on more sites, or we're looking for new sponsors to serve children during the summer. And this just shows a trend of the meals served and the payments that have come into the state from the government. You can see that we kind of peaked in fiscal year 2015, and we've decreased slightly from 2016 to 2017. And there's very multiple reasons for this. It could be that a large sponsor couldn't serve during the summer due to construction or some constraints going on. We do encourage many sponsors to serve the entire summer, but what you'll find out is that sponsors and sites can basically be open as long or as short as they want to over the summer, which is a nice option to have. This past year in 2017, we actually had a huge increase in July and August for meals served, but due to some of the snow days the previous year, we had June starting late when they served meals.
So Sarah, public libraries can then maybe run a summer food service program for the length of their summer reading club, like let's say 8 weeks versus 3 whole months.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So as I mentioned, we have increased our meals served, we've increased our sites served, we've increased our sponsors, but we have a ton of room for improvement. This past year, for children that are eligible for free and reduced meals during the school year, we only served about 19% of them. The federal goal is 40%, so we still fall short of that. We did increase from the previous year, which was 17%. So we are happy that we had an improvement, but we want to make more of a dent in that, closer to that 40% goal. And it's very interesting and important to consider and remember that rural communities have much different challenges than a community that is in an urban area. So we really try to work with our partners, people at the community level to see what we can do to benefit that community, because not everyone has the same resources available to them based on wherever they live throughout the state.
Sarah, I'm going to interrupt you again. So with the rural communities, they are perhaps a little more hard pressed to find a central location than possibly some urban areas. And so the library would really be a great spot for people to know that that's where they're going to get lunch on Tuesday, or that's where they're going to get a breakfast every day of the week. Is that a library?
Yes, because people are familiar with libraries. That's the local watering hole. Some of these smaller communities, they don't have community centers, they don't have YMCAs, they don't have Salvation Armies or Boys and Girls Clubs. So really, it's those smaller communities that have a great brick and mortar building or even an outside location that people are familiar, they're comfortable with, and they know where to go for resources. And pairing that with a meal or a snack is a great opportunity for them to receive some of those benefits, because we know they're probably hungry throughout the summer.
Ooh, I might be jumping ahead a little bit. So like maybe hosting weekly story times at a local park, collaborating with the park and the food service program, and offering a lunch at those sites would be a great library program.
Absolutely. That sounds great. So, what I'm going to talk about first is kind of the sponsor responsibilities and requirements, and then I'm going to move on to the site. So, uh, I think most libraries would probably lean towards the site, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to learn what a sponsor does so you can kind of understand where they're coming from. Or if you're interested in being a sponsor, you can be as a local nonprofit entity or a government entity. You are welcome to be in the summer food service program and run as a sponsor. So sponsors are required to demonstrate that they are fiscally and administratively capable of running the program, meaning that they can run the summer food service programs without receiving reimbursement if for some reason they weren't able to, and they have the capacity to fill out paperwork and submit a claim and receive those reimbursements and run that operation. They would be able to serve children in their community that are low income. And I'm going to talk about what eligibility looks like in just a few moments. They have to have a nonprofit food service account, meaning that you won't make a profit off this program. Most likely, you might have another funding source that helps run this program throughout the summer. And you have to provide a year-round community service, which I believe all libraries do in this state. And you also have to have control over all your sites. If you're going to sponsor more than one location, you have to know what's going on at your sites, and you're ultimately responsible for
Absolutely.
what does go on at those sites.
So just to clarify, the providing a year-round community service doesn't mean you're providing necessarily meals year-round. As you were saying, that can go month by month or a stretch of months, but it's more of serving the community as you do as a public library. You must be a year-round entity.
Correct. You have to be providing some type of year-round community service, regardless if it's associated with food service or not. And you are doing that as a library. You're providing many services year-round to everyone in the community. So sponsors, they do many different things. They, again, are responsible for those day-to-day operations of sites. They're going to come to a training that we provide to them. We offer full-day trainings and half-day trainings throughout the state, and they're going to manage that food service by preparing meals, or they're going to get a contract with a local food service management company, a vendor, a caterer, or a restaurant. They're going to train their staff either in food service operations, they're going to train their administrative staff, and they're going to train their site staff. Now, that could be a ton of people that they're managing, or it might just be one or two people based on whatever type of sponsor they are. They're going to maintain accurate records that they have to keep for all programs. They're going to check in with their sites. They're going to monitor their sites throughout the summer and fill out a few different pieces of paper for that. And then they're going to just consolidate and submit their monthly claim. And what that is you're going to submit their claim in a security system, and then that's how you receive reimbursement for the meals that they serve to sites at those locations. So how do you become a sponsor if you're not already one? You would come to our website, michigan.gov/SFSP for Summer Food Service Program, and scroll down to the Prospective Sponsor section. And then we have a new non-school sponsor pre-qualification packet. So that is just asking information about that organization, contact, what do you do during the year for the year-round community service, financial information, your board of directors, organization as far as board members, as well as executive directors or members that work there. And then we would review that as the Office of Health and Nutrition Services. And then once that's been approved, we would give you access, and we have multiple steps to do that if you're interested in becoming a sponsor. So a site, and what do they do? I believe most libraries here would want to be a site because that gives you the opportunity to serve children in a location, but not necessarily have to do all the food service and administrative work that the sponsors would do. A site is that physical location where children are going to be served meals, and sites can be anywhere technically. So they can be in a church, they can be in a school, like I have here listed, community centers, libraries is a perfect location because people already know you have services and programming going on. They could be at a local park. They could be in a vacant lot. They could be at food pantries, low-income housing units, mobile units, anything basically where you think children are going to congregate, you can have a site.
That just made me think of our bookmobiles. We have a few bookmobiles on the road still in Michigan, and that would be a great partner if they're stopping weekly at a perhaps a low-income housing spot, and then they could have snacks or a lunch served there. So really, I think one thing that used to scare me away from the summer food program was all the sponsor work, but libraries can certainly go ahead and do the sponsor training and offer this on a bigger scale, but they can also just sign up and be a site.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I would probably lean towards if I was a library and I worked with one, because there's not as much responsibility because you're doing so many other things and you have other jobs to do as well. And that kind of gives you the freedom to not have the administrative burden necessarily of paperwork and submitting a claim. But absolutely, I think that mobile library bus or unit, excuse me, would be an ideal place to have meals and books. We do have a sponsor actually in South Haven that has a farm bus, and she has like local animals, but she also has a library on her bus. And so the kids come get meals. They can come check out a book and come back the week later when she comes there. But also, she also got iPads and a router so they can come do little activities on the bus where she stops and they also receive that meal. So that's a great opportunity to pair up. So at this site, part of your duties would be that you're going to count children as they receive a meal. And I have linked our daily meal count form or Meet Up and Eat Up app videos that I'm not going to go to, but you can see what that would entail. And basically, you're just checking kids off a tally sheet once they receive a meal or get a meal, and then they're going to eat that meal on site or wherever that location is at. Uh, and that's pretty much as easy as that. You're going to also submit documents to your sponsor either daily or weekly, however that works for them and that works for you. As a site, you can serve up to 2 meals a day, which I'll talk about in just a minute. You just can't serve lunch and supper on the same day at the same site to the same children. And then you would attend one of their trainings that they're going to do for you and have people that are on site whenever you're serving that have been trained that understand the program so that you can follow those rules and regulations so they can be reimbursed for those meals that you're serving to those children. So a few minutes ago, I mentioned site eligibility and low income. So there's a few different ways how sites can be eligible for uh, serving meals. And one is school data. We always try to look to make sure that the closest school to the site location that would be, it has at least 50% or more of children that are receiving free or reduced meals during the school year. And if a site qualifies using any of those schools, an elementary, a middle, or a high school, then that location is eligible to serve meals to children anytime throughout the summer. If the closest school does not qualify at least 50%, then we go to these things called census data maps. And we have 4 different maps that we can check out. I have 3 listed there because one map is virtually the same as the other, but it will show you if they're in an area that's eligible by typing in the address of this place that you want to have the site at. And it's basically going to tell you yes or no, it's eligible. And if it is, then absolutely that place can be a site. And if not, then we try to see if there's another way that we can make it work to have a site. All of our eligibility is good for 5 years. So if data changes or school information changes, it's covered for at least 5 years for that location. So sites. The beauty of the summer food service program is that you can have variable schedules as a site. So what that means is your operational dates can be different throughout the whole summer. You could operate the entire summer from the day after school ends in that district to the day before the school starts in that district. Or if you have a program that just runs for 3 weeks, you can just operate those 3 weeks. You can operate once a week for a program. We have many churches that do vacation Bible school, so they'll get meals for just that week and serve to those kids, but also if anyone from the community wants to come, they can come receive a meal. So as your operational dates, it's very flexible to fit your needs as either the site or the sponsor. The days of the week can vary as well, meaning you can serve Sunday through Saturday every week, or you can just serve every Monday or every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or every Saturday. You can serve any day of the week that you have people to staff and serve meals, or if you have programming going on. And you can serve different meals on different days. So, like I mentioned, you can serve up to 2 meals a day, but say every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday you have a daytime program and you want to serve just lunch, you absolutely can do that. Or if you just want to serve a snack, you can absolutely do that. But say every Tuesday night you have a family reading night and you want to serve supper for kids, you can absolutely do that as well. So each day you can serve a different meal at your site or location, which gives you some nice flexibility.
Sarah, we're talking today about summer food meetup and eat up, but is this flexibility available during the school year as well for being a site?
So it kind of depends, depending where you are located. So we do have um, at the Office of Health and Nutrition Services at MDE, there is the Child and Adult Care Food Program. And so that's kind of the next thing. So, no, that's totally fine. And so, what that is there's two types to that program, but basically, there's an at risk after school portion to the Child and Adult Care Program. So, if there is a school that has at least that 50% free and reduced applications for the National School Lunch Program, there can be an at-risk after-school site, which could be a library, and you could serve a supper and or a snack to children as long as they are supervised and have an enrichment activity going on. So if there's a district or a location there, they can participate in the Child and Adult Care Food Program during the school year, and they can serve a supper and or a snack.
Okay, so perhaps if libraries are interested in doing that, and I know it's not coming up to talk a little bit more about that, but the summer food program might be a good chance to practice and see what it's like to be a site before diving in for a year-round program.
Absolutely, they could pilot the summertime and see how that gets attended or received by the community. And then if it has a great outpouring of support, you can talk to your sponsor and see if you can make this more of a sustainable program for everyone that's available in the community. Thanks. So something to consider too as a site, technically as a site, you do not have to have any type of programming going on. You just have to be able to serve meals and take meal attendance and you're good to go. But the beauty of libraries is typically you already have some type of programming or activity going on. Usually there is some literacy programs. I know there's been some grants recently awarded. Also, you already have educational enrichment too that can entertain children, but also get them interested in attending the library for those programs and then receive a meal in turn. So you can spin it either way, however you want to do that. Sites can have games, they could do outdoor activities, they can have chalk, bubbles. You can get volunteers from your community. High schoolers are great volunteers. Some of those some of those juniors and seniors that are in the National Honor Society or just regular junior and senior kiddos, they can help volunteer, but also that can count towards volunteer hours, which they need for furthering their education. Or if you have people back from college, you can use those as great volunteers or anyone from the community. So there's a lot of opportunity to have some extra staffing or volunteers that you don't necessarily have to have on your payroll.
And this would also be a really fantastic opportunity for library friends groups. A lot of friends that are looking for a little more to do, a little more responsibility. So that's a great idea to use those.
Absolutely. And you kind of give them a title and a responsibility and a role, and they really can take that with them and make the program grow, hopefully. You can also partner with established programs or activity groups. So, what I have listed, the YMCA, if you have that in your area, the Boys and Girls Club, Salvation Army, or local camps, sports, sports camps, band camps, anything like that you can partner with and have some activity and programming or serve a meal if you have something common going on. So site staffing, like I mentioned, you can use those volunteers from school, college or high school. You can use a regular volunteer maybe that you have with your library or community, or you could have a dedicated staff person to help do things that you might need done at that site. So that could be receiving meals and just making sure you count and make sure everything's there for the snack they set up at a table, or taking that meal attendance. There is no roster or enrollment required for the summer food service program because it's open to everyone that's at that location at that time. So there's a lot of different opportunities for staffing the summer food service program or finding those volunteers. So this is just a busy slide to show you there's very different opportunities to serving in the summer food service program. So you can serve again up to 2 meals per day. You can't just serve lunch and supper, but you can serve breakfast, you can serve lunch, supper, or snack. And this kind of shows you what those meal patterns are like. And this kind of breaks it down. So I just want to kind of go over that with you. So if you're interested in serving any types of meals, you have to make sure that your meals meet the meal pattern requirements that were instituted by the USDA. So if you are to serve breakfast, you have to serve at least 1 serving of milk, which is 8 ounces of fluid milk. You have to have at least 1/2 cup serving of fruit or vegetable, and you can serve juice, 100% juice for that. And you have to have at least 1 serving of grain or bread, and that could vary depending on what you have serving. It could be cold cereal, it could be a bagel, toast, or even, like a toaster strudel or Pop-Tart, some type. You can always add on a meat or meat alternate, maybe a hard-boiled egg or something, but those are the minimum requirements that would be served with that meal. And every meal or snack could be hot or cold. So it does give you some nice flexibility if you don't have the ability to have heated up meals or an oven, and if you don't have a fridge even. You could do some shelf-stable items for a snack. So lunch and supper, if you're interested, you have to serve at least 1 serving of fluid milk, 8 ounces. You have to have at least 2 servings or more of fruit or vegetable, totaling at least 3/4 of a cup. You have to have at least 1 serving of grain or bread, and you have to have at least a 2-ounce serving of meat or meat alternate for those meals. And what's really nice is, again, those can be hot or cold depending on your needs and abilities for that site. Something that I think people would be really interested in as libraries, if you don't want to go hog wild into the program, is serving snacks. And snacks are a really easy way to provide sustenance for children, because you only have to have 2 different food items from 2 different components. And when I mean components, I'm talking about milk as a component, fruit or vegetable is a component, a grain is a component, and a meat or meat alternate is a component. So if I wanted to serve a shelf-stable snack, I could serve maybe graham crackers and juice. It's probably best cold, but if you don't have that ability to have it cold, it could be shelf-stable. Or if you had shelf-stable crackers and a beef stick even, technically, that could be a shelf-stable snack.
So Sarah, the snack thing, and I think you're going to come to this, but a library could get reimbursed if they decide to sponsor that snack and have that available at regular programming to children, and then get reimbursed from USDA.
So no, sorry. So if you're a sponsor and you provide meals to kids, then you're the person or the organization that typically receives reimbursement. If you're getting your meals or snacks delivered to you or provided to you, typically that sponsor will get that reimbursement, but you could have some type of agreement or contract with a sponsor if maybe you provide the snack yourselves, if you purchase those food items and provide the snack yourselves, and then maybe if they provided another meal, they would receive the reimbursement for that and then maybe provide you with a supplemental reimbursement to cover those snack costs.
Right, right. I really see a lot of public libraries, at least starting out, maybe taking advantage of the snack program, and then hopefully, moving on to breakfast and lunch and supper, covering those types of things. I know Jackson District Library has a long-standing program with lunch. I believe it's every day of the week or Monday through Thursday throughout the summer reading period. And I know other libraries in Michigan are participating as well. So I just like to make sure that's clear to everyone that they can do it either way. They can be a sponsor or a site, and they can start with the minimal and grow bigger, or they can dive.
Yeah, it's really up to the library and what you think your capability is. So Jackson District Library partners with the local school district, and the school district basically provides meals to some of their library locations, and kids receive those meals when they're there for any type of activity or programming going on. And you can serve those meals inside, or if you have a great day outside and it's not raining or horrible weather, you can serve outside as well. So that's what the beauty of the program is you can have a designated location, but you can also change that up too for whatever works for you. So if you're a smaller institution and it's really hard to, get space in there, you can always serve meals outside. You could maybe get some blankets donated or use local blankets. You can have the kids sit on the grass, or even I have seen some sponsors use carpet squares from remnants and have the kids just sit on the carpet squares, and then they have their favorite little color they want to pick every day. So there's a lot of different options when you're serving those meals or snacks. And what's really nice too is you have the opportunity to have you make that decision of how long you're going to serve for. So you can have a meal or a snack last for 15 or 20 minutes, or if you want it to be open for 2 hours, you have that ability as long as you have someone to help take meal attendance and provide those snacks or serve them per se. You can have snacks and meals already packaged, like in a unitized manner or in a sack lunch, or if you want it all set up like a buffet, you can do that too. So there's a lot of different options based on what your wants, needs, and capabilities are as a site or as a sponsor. So serving meals, I just have this on here so you can understand what the options are. So when we say you can self-prepare, that means you're going to make your meals in-house. Hopefully you have like some type of central kitchen, or maybe a local church has a huge kitchen and they want to help serve meals and partner with you as a library. And if you were to do that, you just want to make sure that you have menus that meet those meal patterns that I discussed. You might have some type of production records, invoices, or receipts for when you're purchasing your meals. You might not have all of those, but some of those would be included. If you use a food service management company, then you might use a vendor, a caterer, a local restaurant person that provides meals or snacks to you. And that could be in many different fashions. It could be ready to eat meals that are kind of shelf stable, or maybe they're already cooled in a cooler or fridge and you just bring those out and serve them to the children. Or if you have the ability to heat meals, you might have an oven that you put meals in and do that, or you can use shelf stable items as well. Here's just a list of some menu planning resources that are available. USDA has some great opportunities for planning your meals, what's required in a meal, if you're looking for some recipes, or you could have an activity of having kids create some recipes based on some maybe local items in your area or food surpluses. So these are just a few resources that you can use if you're going to plan your menu or prepare your own meals if you're interested in doing that. These are the reimbursement rates for 2018, and they went up this year, so I think that's a positive thing because this is set by, again, the USDA and Congress, so they've increased the reimbursement rates. And these reimbursement rates are to help subsidize the programming going on. So they might not totally cover the food costs 100%, but it's supposed to subsidize for our organizations that are serving these meals. And the reimbursement rates vary depending on if you prepare your meals yourself or are in a rural location, or if you receive meals from a food service management company or a caterer, something to that effect. And these reimbursement rates will go to the sponsor with the program, or if you have an agreement with that sponsor and you're providing your own snacks, you can see the reference of what they might provide to you based on those snacks. Or if you wanted to sponsor yourself, then you can see what those reimbursement rates would be based on what meals or snacks that you're serving. So something I want to talk about is how do you find a site for the summer food service program? So there are a few things out there that you can use, and even if you're not interested in being a site that serves any type of summer meals or snacks, I would encourage you to at least advertise for the program, meaning we have a map of Michigan, Meet Up and Eat Up map, which is at www.michigan.gov/meet up eat up. And what this is it takes all of our sites. It's not updated yet because they haven't submitted their applications yet, but once all the applications are submitted, this will be updated and it will show all of the sites in Michigan that are open for someone to come receive a meal. And it's going to give them, based on whatever address they type in, it's going to give them the closest locations. It's going to tell them who that sponsor is and how to contact them if you need to, what meals or snacks they offer, what times those meals and snacks are served, what days of the weeks they operate, and what their operational dates are. Because again, the beauty of this program is its flexibility, but not every site has the same serving times, serving of meals, and operational dates. So that is a nice service. And I would really challenge you all to advertise this or have it on your websites or social media so that people can see this and find where a local site is to them. They can also call 211 and then they will be given the closest sites to them based on whatever their address they provide to that person. You can also text food to 877-877 and follow the prompts. They're going to ask basically for your location and then they'll provide the 3 closest feeding sites to you. You can also download the Food Finder app if you're interested. And what this is it takes those summer food service sites as well as local pantries and food banks and pairs those up so that if a person or child needs to find a meal, they might also need to find additional food items at that local pantry or food bank. So this gives them that opportunity that it's all in one location. So what also is nice about our map is that it's updated on a nightly basis. We're using a geocode system, so we're using longitude and latitudes to pinpoint where those sites are so that it's updated on a nightly basis for everyone, because we know that sometimes things have to change at a site as far as their serving times throughout the summer, or maybe what meal they thought they might serve or change, and that can be done throughout the summer for our sponsors. So they can update and adjust those times and meals throughout the summer.
Now, Sarah, I just want to point out to everyone that at the bottom of the page here on file, in the file box, I do have your PowerPoint available as a notes page, so people can download that and print it off at work or save it to their computer and have access to most of these websites. But I've also been posting the websites in the chat box as well if you want to link out live.
Thank you. I know I have a lot of links, so I just wanted to try to give you as much information as I thought you might be interested in. So at MDE, we have focus areas, target cities, focus counties, whatever you want to call them. And we added quite a few this year. And this is based on if we maybe had service and it decreased this past year or the past 2 years, or maybe we don't service those counties at all. So you can kind of see throughout the state we have a lot in the UP, and a lot of that is because they're rural areas and it's hard to get children to sites. So we really want to partner with any type of organization, food pantry, school that is willing to help with the summer food service program. Now that could be a financial support, that could be maybe the local transportation authority, anything that we can do to help service these kids and get them to sites or get them meals that they need. We also have a lot in northern Michigan. We know it's more rural there and it's harder to get kids to sites, transportation. We do have some, I know in Marquette County, the YMCA and the schools partner with their local transportation authority, and basically any child that wants to go to a food service location during the summer can go for free. So they can ride the bus or the van to that site for free without a problem and receive a meal. And I think that's great, but not every organization or every community can do this. So what can we do to partner to make this happen at a site? And maybe that's because we need additional sites in those locations. Maybe we need some of your resources. So if you're in any of those counties, I definitely want you to try to consider having a site, even if it's only open 1 day a week. That's totally fine. You're serving those kids 1 day a week because we don't know if these kids are eating at home. We know that there's a definite need out there, and it's really hard to enjoy summer if you're hungry and your tummy's growling every day. So I just want you to kind of think about that as you're considering joining, hopefully as a site or a sponsor in the summer food service program. Um, so I'll just leave that at that. We also have some other available resources from our food nutrition services at the USDA. If you're interested, we have a summer meals toolkit, and that has a lot of great resources for trying to work with people in your community. Maybe that's your local mayor, schools, clubs, partners. It also has some advertising information in there and some outreach tools, and even how to get your local or U.S. representative or senator involved to kind of make this a big deal. Also has some farm to summer resources. We're really blessed in the state to have a plethora of local items available during the summer, spring, and fall to serve to children. Team Nutrition has some activity guides. They also have some cool pamphlets that you can use at sites, and they're free of charge. You just have to ask them to send them to you. You'd fill out an order form and it's absolutely free, and they send it to you. And there's pamphlets, there's different activity guides that are for children as well as parents, those types of things for people. We also have some resources from FRAC, and they're the Food Research Action Agency, and they do a lot of different programs to support child nutrition programs. So also school meals and CACFP in addition to summer. And we really want children to have a great experience at summer. We want them to have high quality meals as well as programming and learning, and hopefully getting rid of that learning loss. We don't want any of that happening during the summer, and that's part of our top 10 and 10 as a state in Michigan is we want children to continue to advance and not have any summer learning loss or summer slide, so that we can have them pick up whenever they meet up in the fall right where they left off or already learning some of those things ahead of time. So I know I'm done a little early, but I would love to answer any questions or provide any additional information about the Summer Food Service Program to you all. There is the website. We have a ton of information on there. We have some program resources. We have program documents if you're interested in looking. We also have a list of the 2017 sponsors, so you can take a look at that. Or if you're interested, I would be happy to help you connect with a local sponsor to hopefully start a program with you. And that can be done anytime, because again, you can apply throughout the summer, or now's the best time for most sponsors to apply to us, because they have to have their applications submitted to us by mid-May and then submitted to USDA by mid-June.
And in addition to any questions, for those that are on live with us right now, any thoughts or ideas running through your head on how you might be able to partner with a sponsor in your area, or perhaps become a sponsor at your library itself? Please feel free to share that in the chat box. Rachel says, it's such a wonderful program. Thank you for all the information.
Thank you,
and we're
Rachel.
really grateful to have Sarah over here today to share this with us. And I say over here because we're sitting in a room together. But it's really such a wonderful program. And the more I've come to understand it, the more I wish I could be out there implementing it in a public library. So I'm really going to be pushing this throughout the state of Michigan. And if you guys have any ideas or suggestions on how other public libraries can be a site with programming ideas to collaborate with that, or maybe some good local sponsors, it'd be really helpful if you ever want to share that feedback with me. I'm happy to put the information out there to everyone. Looks like Rachel is typing, so she might have a question or a comment. I don't know if any.
Something that I did not mention is that we do have some outreach materials available. Some of them are on our website, the SFSP website. Some of them we don't have on there because they're not necessarily ADA compliant, but they're at least flyers that could be printed off at your location and hung for people that might come in and out, or if you have local businesses that you want to put there. So I'd be happy to share that with anyone that might be interested in that, because outreach is a big key, because again, some people have never heard of the summer food service program or the Meet Up and Eat Up program. So if you can advertise that, even if you can't be a site, again, that's very helpful for people that do need the program. Something I didn't mention is feeding program adults. Now, again, this program is a congregate feeding program for children that are 18 years and younger, but some locations receive funding from other sources, and they also serve adults too, meals that bring children to the site. So that is an option, because a lot of times if adults are bringing children and the children are hungry, those adults are hungry too. You just do not receive reimbursement or federal funding for serving adult meals, but that's an option for a sponsor or a site to do if you have other funding sources for serving adult meals. So you can include that as a family opportunity if you're doing some of those nighttime programs, and even throughout the summer, but also during the school year as well. If you can get other businesses or a funding source to provide those adult meals, that's a really nice opportunity to have a family meal, because these children might not have family meals at home.
That's true, and hunger doesn't stop in the summer. Just because they're not in school doesn't mean they don't need to eat during the summer and keep those minds going and keep learning and growing. Rachel, it looks like, is going to check out the maps today. She's excited, but she's not sure they fit the 50% requirement. And so if you have any questions, Sarah put her email address up here on the screen, as well as a couple other contacts. So please don't hesitate to reach out to them if you need any help. And if we don't have any other questions.
Yeah, just check out the website. There's the training videos, as well as if you're not interested in participating this year or in any capacity of serving a meal or a snack. A snack is a great way to just kind of get your feet in the water and see how the program will run and operate. You can at least maybe do that outreach piece or advertise that Meet Up and Eat Up map so people know where they can go to receive a meal or a snack in their community. So that would be a great opportunity for you to kind of get that going for everyone and just help support the state.
Great, and I just linked to the training videos here on our chat box. If anybody has any trouble getting to those, just use that little shortcut. Might want to open that up now, because and included below is also the PDF with many of the links Sarah shared with us today. So thanks everybody for your time. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking about graham crackers and milk right now. So we're going to sign off and hope you guys all have a good week. Thank you very much. And thank you to Sarah for her time today and sharing this information with us.